radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Tuesday, January 23rd, 23 days into the new year. Just 342 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Okay, here we go, midweek, Tuesday night here on Fade to Black, and we have a very special guest. Dr. Judith Orloff is here, and we are going to talk about her new book. That's right, the Empath Survival Guide, and other things. She is an MD, and we're going to go right there tonight. She's also speaking at the Conscious Life Expo in 2 weeks, so we'll also cover that. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, William Henry is here. We're going to talk some Egypt and, of course, the Iron Throne of Osiris. That's going to be tomorrow night, that new chamber, right, found above the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid over in Giza. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. Love it when we do a full-on Egypt show, and it's even better when it's William Henry. And also, William will be at the Conscious Life Expo. That's just a synchronicity twist on events, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night too with William. He's going to be on my Ancient Aliens panel on Friday night there at the Conscious Life Expo. Thursday night is another Fader night and the No More Fake Newsroom live with John Rappaport, followed by Open Lines all night long. And then after that, on Friday, I'm over at Coast to Coast AM, and my guest is Jason Martell, and that is also followed by Open Lines all night long. All right, we're going to take calls tonight, too, with Dr. Judith Orloff, 323-825-5045, so get ready for that. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I almost said follow us on Twitter at Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. We use TweetDeck here, and TweetDeck, for those out there, can be hard to find, and it's not really hard to find. It's a Twitter product. So go and search TweetDeck and get the download, because TweetDeck will change your life. The way that you run with Twitter, because you can have 4 or 5, as many people or companies that you want to follow, and their tweets are all automatically fed into a timeline right in front of you, and I often compare it to a slot machine, because that's what it looks like, right? They just don't line up. Well, they may line up. Sometimes they do. It's pretty cool. Well, anyway, it's all automatic, and you get to see all of the conversations going on. We use hashtag F2B, hashtag F2B, F2B. That's our sandbox. That's where the Fadernauts hang out all night, and that's where the conversations occur. We also have 2 chat rooms, everybody. We have one over on Spreaker, And we have the chat room over at KGRA The Planet. All the chat rooms are open. Pick your poison. Do what you want to do. The sandbox is more like a chat room now because Twitter kicked it up to, what is it now? It's 140. Is it 280 characters now? I can't even remember. It was 140 before. Did they double it? I can't remember. Now it's too long. Tweets are too long. I have yet to run out of Twitter space. I haven't done it yet. No, I haven't. Okay. Where am I at? Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. And Jimmy Church Radio. Go follow, like, and subscribe. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. Okay? Very simple. Get TweetDeck. Any questions or comments throughout the show tonight for myself, for the good doctor, Dr. Judith Orloff, hashtag F2BQ. Email throughout the show is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I want to get to this because Ronnie McMullen is going to be here in a couple of minutes with his big announcement. And so last week, my little rant on Bitcoin has gotten some attention. And I didn't mean for it to do that because I was just ranting. I'm just speaking my mind, right? But it's always good when that happens, right? The good and the bad. But you should read some of the email I have been getting from Bitcoin professionals, from those who know everything, right? And they want to hear what they want to hear, and they're so used to shaming people that criticize Bitcoin, on social media and Twitter and Facebook and via email. And what is interesting is the flood of email that I got in the last 24 hours. Here's a little taste of it. Are you ready? Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's money. What? Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money. It's an investment. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's money, not an investment. Huh? Like back-to-back emails today. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money or an investment. It's the future. It's our world. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money or an investment. It's a way of sticking it to the man. It's like, what? Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's money. Amazon accepts it. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money. Goldman Sachs trades it. It's crazyville. Jimmy, you don't understand Bitcoin. It's not money. It's money without a middleman. It's like, and everybody is trying to defend their position here because they're a professional, they're a financial advisor, and they want to help me out. They want to help me understand. Nobody, I have yet, out of all of the email that I've got, I swear, I feel like just posting all of it for everybody in its completeness. Nobody has told me the same story. All these professionals. I've been clicking on their websites, and they're sending me links. Go check out my blog post. Go check out this website I work for. I write for this magazine. Go and check this out. And I've been doing that. And everybody's message when it comes to Bitcoin, totally different. Totally different. Now, everything that I just read to you was copy and pasted from actual email, from professionals. They don't know anything. They know nothing. The makers of Bitcoin don't know. We don't even know who that is. So how it's crazy. So today I watched 4 professional money men on TV. No joke. I watched 4 professionals on TV on one of those money market shows argue about Bitcoin. All 4 were very serious Bitcoin dudes. One runs an exchange, one was a securities lawyer, another was an investment advisor, another one was a columnist for a major newspaper, all fighting about what Bitcoin actually is, what to do with it, But one thing, and not only that, but see, this is the thing. They were trying to argue about what it is, what to do with it, But then they all agreed on one thing, and it was amazing to me, that Bitcoin is worthless unless people buy into it with actual, wait for it, money. It's nuts. It's nuts. Watching them fight today sounded exactly like the email that was flooding in my inbox. Everything that I just read to you. It was the same argument going on the screen. And I was like, what's going on here? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So today I posted some of the email that I've been getting on Facebook, the ones that I just read to you. And then my brother, Greg, yes, my brother, Greg, posted a video from Awaken with JP in a thread. Awaken with JP, one of the best YouTube channels on all of the internet, all of YouTube. Just amazing. And it was so good. It was so funny. So, what's the word I want to use? Perfect. That I transcribed it. And then I modified it and stuff. So for those that post as Bitcoin pros that are listening to me right now, those that think they are a Bitcoin pro, right? Write for a blog, whatever you got a Twitter feed that you're the Bitcoin pro, all of that, right? The Facebook pages, or for those of you that have seen or read or have a friend who was a quote unquote, air quotes here, Bitcoin pro, check this word for word. Seriously, close your eyes and listen. This is what a Bitcoin professional will say to you. All right, you ready? Close your eyes. Your Bitcoin for professional buddy comes up to you and says, I have Bitcoin, and you should too. Right? If you would have invested in Bitcoin 3 months ago, you would have tripled your money by now. Well, doubled. Tripled was 2 weeks ago. You're so stupid for not buying it then. Right? That's what they say. The shaming. Every conversation they have, they're telling people to buy Bitcoin. Every conversation. It's all they want to talk about. And when they are not actually speaking, they are professing their Bitcoin prophecies on social media. It's what they do. Being a Bitcoin advocate is like the veganism of the financial world. That's right. You'll find out where they stand on that matter within 11 seconds of meeting them. You'll find yourself being appropriately belittled, as vegans do, as these new Bitcoin pros do, if you don't feel the same way about it. They'll say, let me explain how Bitcoin works. People worry when there's no gold behind the money. But you don't have to worry about that with Bitcoin, because not only is there no gold behind it, there is no anything else behind it either. So technically, it's nothing. And this is their explanation. But because the good-hearted anonymous people behind Bitcoin release only a limited amount of this nothing, it's worth something. Because scarcity is what makes anything valuable. So with Bitcoin, scarcity is what makes nothing valuable as well. The Bitcoin Pro will continue that the instrumental part of Bitcoin is the blockchain, right? It's a ledger that keeps track of Bitcoin and keeps everyone accountable. That the blockchain helps cut out the third party of banks that you have to deal with normal money transactions. So it's like a third party that cuts out the other third party, because they don't need a third party in their exchange of rare and precious digital currencies, right? They'll finish with the genius behind Bitcoin is that it's an alternative currency to money, which means next to Bitcoin, money doesn't really matter anymore. Now, I saw this argument going on TV today amongst Bitcoin professionals. And I'm listening to it, and then I go and I watch this video. JP of Awaken with JP, who's just one of the smartest, funniest talents anywhere. And we're going to post the original video of this, and you can go and check it out. But I saw it go down on TV as well, and it's in my email, and it's just proving to me one thing. Nobody knows nothing. They know nothing. All they want is for you to invest your money into Bitcoin for them. That's the goal. And they'll put any spin on it that tags at your emotions, that pulls you down, that gets to you. You know, this is putting it to the man. It's not really money. It is money. It's an investment. It's not an investment. Whatever works for you, whatever ties you down, that's what's going to, that's the rope. That's the snag. That's the hook. Think about that. All right. And with that, there's going to be more on Bitcoin, as you know. I can already read the emails tomorrow after everybody gets through with this today. But I would like to welcome now Ronnie McMullen from Life Change Tea and Ancient Life Oil with a very special announcement. Ronnie, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, buddy?
Do you have Bitcoin?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And you just listened to my rant.
I did. I love you.
Oh, man. You know what? My comment about Bitcoin last week that just enraged everybody was that, you know what? I said, look, do what you want to do. You know, it's your money. Do your thing. Me, it's like walking through a casino and you're watching people win and lose, right? You're listening to the machines, ding, 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 people over in the roulette table screaming and craps, and then there's people losing. And you know what? Sometimes it's best just to walk through the casino, go out the other side and hit the buffet, right? And you know, and that's where I'm at with Bitcoin.
See, if you go to the buffet, you could die of GMOs. So then what?
Well,
I'm just teasing.
Oh, you got to go there. But and that's really the honest take on this. You know, it's for me, this is the deal. I've been doing this now for a couple of months. I've been doing it for a few years, observing Bitcoin. But for the last couple of months, I have been in the exchanges every day, reading everybody's comments, watching the market, you know, go up and down 24 hours. I've been watching it, and it's entertainment, man. It's entertainment.
Well, it's another stock market.
It is. And it
really is. I mean, there's some stuff behind it that's way better than the stock market, but it's kind of like the stock market. And really the analogy of being in Vegas, it's very much like that too. I mean, there's more behind it, but again, I can see, you know, what everybody sees. I just feel like, you know, I don't have a whole bunch in there. You know, to me, if you're going to do Bitcoin, you do it to know that it's going to be a loss. And if you do it that way, as just same way, you go to Vegas, it's going to be a loss. The people go to Vegas to gamble, to think they're going to make money. They're the ones that lose the biggest.
They're the ones that lose. That's right. And you know, and if you're in it for the long haul and you want to ride this thing out for 5, 10, 20 years, if it's around that long, maybe it'll be around longer for 1,000. I don't know. But if you can do that, do it. It's
sure.
fun. It's fun. I totally get that. It's
not fun when you lose, but you know, again, if you're going in to make $1 million, you know, hard work gets you the $1 million, not anything else.
Yeah, those days are gone with it. You would have to have $1 million to invest to make $1 million today. I mean, that's really the truth. And anybody that became millionaires, you know, got in at $100, $500, you know, $1,000 with a huge investment, and then they watch this meteoric climb. But that's this bubble, you know. So that's it. So anyway, enough of that, man. Enough of Bitcoin. Like I said, I can already see the email tomorrow. But speaking of money. Big changes for Ancient Life Oil. Tell us about it.
Well, I am so excited because I've got a lot of people go to the website, and all we've had is green money, which is e-check, which is cool, but and then of course snail mail, which is really not cool. And we finally got banking, and they're in the U.S., and there's no sleight of hand, and we don't have to say that it's puppy oil or something weird. So we get to say this is the real deal. And so now people can go and get the best CBD oil there is. I'm a little biased. And you do it with a credit card. And we're so excited about that because now the visitors that come can buy, and they're going to come back. It's so funny, Jimmy. You know, people ask me, what does it do? And I always say, you know what? What's quicker to say what it doesn't do, because that's how much it does. And people that have bought Okay. In other words, they did the snail mail or they did the e-check. They're repeating your orders. That tells you that it's working. And of course, I have all the stuff that says my CBD has been tested, because there's a lot of companies out there that you buy the CBD oil and there's really no CBD in it. And you're thinking it's working, but it's not working. Mine actually have all the tests to show, all the COAs to say this is the real deal. And yes, it will help you.
The dosages, I wanted to ask you about this really quick, because I use the 1,000 milligram. And the reason why I use the 1,000 milligram is because I'm not a small dude, right? I'm a big guy. And everything that I do is double, right? I get double hamburgers. I get double steaks. I get a bigger car. I have to wear bigger clothes. Everything in my life is double size, right? I'm 2X. That's why I do it. What's the difference for somebody if they were, doing the 250 milligram or 500, and if they kick it up to 1,000, is it all being used? What's the differences in the dosages?
Well, 250, we have 200, which is source, and then we have the Ancient Life Oil, which is 250. That to me is, you get, I want variety so people can get what they want. But 250, people are kind of worried, is it going to make me sleep? Is it going to make me, first of all, there's no psychoactive effect in it. So you're not going to get high. You could drink the whole bottle and then somebody else's bottle and then somebody else's bottle, and you still wouldn't be high, and you'd pass every drug test you need to pass. So that'll tell you that. But some people are like, am I going to get tired if I, take a dropper full and then I drive? Am I going to be tired? No, it just takes away some of your anxiety. It just kind of puts you in like the pickup mode where you pick up on energies. I feel you're sharper, because if you're stressed, you're not sharp. You're making wrong decisions. Okay. I call it scrat. If you're scrat, you're not making the right decisions.
Right.
So it just kind of kicks you right where you need to be so that you make the right decisions. Now, that's not talking about a bunch of other stuff that happens that's really a good thing that I probably can't talk about, because the FDA be like, Jimmy's going to do it, isn't it? Is it Ronnie or Jimmy? Which one are they're both in it,
Right.
So we have to be careful, but it does a lot of wonderful things. You can look it up and know. The one thing I will say is our Ancient Life Oil has 3 different oils in it. It has hemp oil, it has grape seed oil, and coconut oil. And the reason for that, and it's blended just right, the reason for that is so it absorbs better and faster. So people want relief. So now back to your question. So we have a 250. If you go to 500, you're going to double that effect. If you go to 1,000, you're going to double that effect. And people that have issues, and read between those lines, you want a higher dose, because if you're having problems, we'll leave it with that, then you're wanting a higher dose. And if you're having major problems, then we're moving upward in our company to put even higher stuff out that you normally can't get, because again, you could drink the whole bottle. Even if it was 3,000 milligrams, you could drink the whole bottle and you're not going to get high. You're just going to get better.
So what happens for somebody that it's somebody that's a smaller body, right? 100 pounds. And they took the 1,000 milligrams. Does the rest of it just flush out of the body? Like vitamin C or something like that? What happens?
It absorbs. It absorbs. But it's not like, let's say you got a 100-pound girl and she takes, the whole bottle of 1,000 milligram. We think, she's going to be laying down like, no, not at all. It depends also what she has, what's going on. So if, like, a lot of people are stressed, and people, listen to me, stress will kill you. They're doing a study that 30-year-olds, okay, that are stressed are having heart attacks, and their cardiovascular is perfect. And they're having heart attacks. So know that a killer is stress. This is like anti-stress. And much, much more. Again, it is the gamut of all the things it does. It's quicker to say what it doesn't do. Let's say I have some pretty major problems in physical, and I take 1,000, and actually I take 3,000 too. And I can take 3,000 in the middle of the day and turn around, jump in my car, and drive down the road and be fine, be coherent, be alert. In fact, I feel more alert than when I'm stressed, because you ever notice when you're stressed, you're thinking about the problem or whatever's stressing you out.
That's right.
and you don't pay attention. Somebody pulls out in front of you. You're thinking about that stressful event, and next thing you know, you're in a car accident. So this, to me, makes you sharper because you're like, hey, whoa, there's a car pulling out in front of me. So you're not sleeping on the wheel.
I just did a full dropper while you were talking of the 1,000 milligram. Tastes good. You know, this is the other thing about it. I do the cinnamon, right? Just the cinnamon. But it tastes like cinnamon and weed. It's a really good
and weed. Listen,
it's just got
thanks, Jimmy. No psychoactive effect, but it tastes like weed.
It does.
You're killing me.
It's got that thing, man.
You spiked the brownies.
I like that herb thing that is going on here. I do it. Oh,
see, I don't like to taste the herb because it can be bitter. So for me, my favorite, and I have chocolate mint, I have cinnamon, but my favorite is cinnamon with hands down. Hands down.
Okay, cinnamon. Can you vape this?
No, not my stuff. No, it's oil.
Okay. So you can't vape it because it's oil.
No. Yeah, it's oil. I'm sure there's places you can go buy stuff to vape, but no, this is just take a dropper full, put it in your mouth, and go. Rock. It's good.
Yeah, and I've had that Ancient Life oil can be vaped question come at me probably half a dozen times over the last week.
I'm sure there is. Not my company. We don't do the vape stuff.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's something out there that you can. This is something to me when you put a dropper in your mouth and go, it's pretty easy. And, for me, I would not be, let's put it this way. I have issues in my body that I have to take some kind of pharmaceutical for that I hate with a passion. And because I have been taking CBD, that's going away. And the doctor is of course always blaming and saying, oh, well, it's the drug is really working all of a sudden. Wow, really rocking.
Right.
And it's the exact same time I start taking CBD. So it's exciting to me what it does, and people are waking up by the droves. So the big thing right now is making sure that you get a good company for the CBD that you can trust that's going to be CBD, that when you get 1,000 milligram, that's what you're getting. If you get 3,000 milligram, that's what you're getting. And I'll tell you something else. We have a salve, which basically if you put that on, say, something that sore knees, sore joints, elbows, whatever, I use it on my neck because my neck gets jacked up. Mm-hmm. See what happens then. I'll just put it that way.
Now, really quick, before we say goodnight here, you've got a special for the Fader Knots through the end of the month. Tell us about it.
Yeah, for 1 month, I'm doing this for only for the Fader Knots. Free shipping. So if you go and order, whether you order on eCheck or you order on your credit card, you get free shipping.
And
so you just have to put in, and you have to do this, or you will not get free shipping. It needs to be Fader, Fader, Fader.
That's
and
it.
You will get free shipping.
Thank you so much for that, Ronnie. And we're going to see you also, can you believe it, in 2 short weeks at the Conscious Life Expo.
I know, it's going to be a blast.
I know, I cannot wait for that. And I'm just going to tell the Fader Knots now, drinks are on Ronnie. All right, Ronnie. Ronnie, we'll see you at the Conscious Life Expo.
All right.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much for doing this for the Fader Knots. Promo code Fader, Fader. Click on the Ancient Life Oil banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Finally, this is here for us and our audience. And I want to thank you so much, Ronnie, for everything that you do.
Love you, brother.
Right back at you, Ronnie. Ronnie's going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, everybody, February 9th through the 12th. Come and hang out with us. And everybody wants to know what Ronnie looks like, right? So there you go. I'm thinking, I talked to him about this. I think he's pulling my chain. I'm thinking, you're going to have to find out at the Conscious Life Expo. I picture me being Fred Flintstone. He's Barney Rubble. I'm the big dude. He's the little in shape guy. We'll find out at the Conscious Life Expo. This is Fade to Black. I'll be back with our guest, Dr. Judith Orloff, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA. The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at KGRAradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Combat, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Very simple. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. And we just had Ronnie McMullen on from Life Change Tea with his new promotion, promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R, will get you free shipping on everything from Ancient Life Oil and Life Change Tea. Head over to the website. Tonight, our guest, Dr. Judith Orloff, is here. We're going to get to that in just a bit. Tomorrow night, William Henry is going to be stopping by to talk some Egypt and the Iron Throne of Osiris. Thursday night is another Fader night and the No More Fake Newsroom with John Rappaport, followed by Open Lines. And then Friday, I'm over at Coast to Coast AM, and my guest will be Jason Martell, also followed by Open Lines. So 2 straight nights of Open Lines. Keeps me in shape, everybody. There you go. Dr. Judith Orloff, MD, is a New York Times bestselling author of the Empath Survival Guide, Life Strategies for Sensitive People. Dr. Orloff is a psychiatrist, an empath, and intuitive healer, and is on the UCLA Psychiatric Clinical Faculty. She synthesizes the pearls of traditional medicine with cutting-edge knowledge of intuition, energy, and spirituality. Dr. Orloff also specializes in treating empaths and highly sensitive people in her private practice. She passionately believes that the future of medicine involves integrating the mind, the body, and spirit to achieve total wellness. Dr. Orloff's work has been featured on the Today Show, CNN, the Oprah magazine, and USA Today. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Dr. Judith Orloff. Dr. Judith Orloff. Now, I'm going to say Judith. Judith, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm excited to be on the show.
Well, what's really cool, what we get to do first is we get to do the first-time guest disclaimer. The next time you're on the show, you don't get it, but you're going to get it tonight, which is this. It's just you and I sitting on my couch. You're a psychiatrist. I guess that you get that. Sitting on my couch, having a conversation as friends, and where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. See? Simple. You ready to go?
Yes.
You can actually use that with your patients if you think about that. I don't even need a credit. I don't even need a credit for that. Let's kind of start here because I kind of want to go backwards first because being a psychiatrist, being an MD, and then talking about empaths and using that as a career path is not your normal MD job route, is it? What got you started?
Oh, no, not at all. It's not the normal job route for an MD. But I want to say that I do combine my conventional medical knowledge, everything I learned at UCLA during my psychiatric residency and at USC during my medical school training. I combine that with my knowledge of intuition, spirituality, and sensitivities. And sensitivity can be a wide range of intuition, from trusting your gut to connecting to spirit. So I combine everything. I haven't excluded anything in my training. But I want to say that I got started on this when I was a child. I was an empath as a child. An empath is somebody who has very sensitive abilities to perceive energy and to perceive emotions and even physical symptoms so that we absorb it into our own bodies. It could be positive energy. It could be toxic energy. But empaths don't have the usual filters that other people have. And that's why I wanted to write the Empath Survival Guide to say, number one, if you've been labeled as overly sensitive all your life, you could be an empath. And if you are, it's a whole different phase of treatment and awakening than, if you're not an empath. So it's really important to know if you are an empath. And as a little girl, I was an intuitive child, an empathic child. I would make predictions that would come true that scared my parents. My parents were both physicians, and I come from a lineage of 25 physicians in my family. So, here I was, the only child of two physicians, and I couldn't go into shopping malls or crowded places because I would walk in fine and I would walk out exhausted or with some ache or pain I didn't have before. And I didn't realize that I was an empath and that I was picking up all that energy in shopping malls. All the energy fields that people emit are condensed in such a crowded place. An empath can feel anxiety, depression, overwhelm. But I didn't know that as a child, and I didn't have anyone to talk to.
You didn't talk to your
all on my own.
Well, your parents are both doctors. You didn't talk to them. But
I didn't hear it.
Would your parents have even understood what you were trying to relate?
Yes and no. They said that they didn't, but then, as I wrote about in my first book, Second Sight, my mother on her deathbed told me that she had had psychic abilities all her life and healing abilities, and she just never shared that with me because she didn't want me to be thought as strange or weird, and she was seeing these abilities coming through me. And so I learned that on her deathbed. So growing up, I didn't really know, but finally the pieces of the puzzle were put together.
And now I want to come back to your childhood, but let's move forward really quickly. We're going to do some time traveling here. Did being an empath conflict with medical school? The orthodoxy and every, that, or is UCLA a little, they've been pretty free in the past with different things, telepathy and psychic experiments, and they were open to that type of thing. But for you going to med school and being an empath, how did that end up working out?
But I want to say I worked with Thelma Moss in her lab at UCLA when I was a teenager. So I got kind of rooted there. And so I got some really good training at a very young age working with parapsychology.
Right.
But while I was working there, I had a dream that told me to go to medical school. And a voice told me that you are going to become a psychiatrist in order to help legitimize intuition in medicine. And it was a dream when that was really the last thing I wanted to do. I did, I was brought up around doctors, and I really didn't find them that interesting. I was more creative and writing. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I had the dream, so I re-enrolled in school. And one class became 14 years of medical training. So I want to say that energy and spirit propelled me to take this life path. I didn't want to do it at first, but then it just became the absolute right thing to do for me.
And what about the medical community today in general? Are they opening up to the spiritual side of life, or is it still just science?
Well, mainly at UCLA, the psychiatry department is biologically oriented. And so I was trained to give out medication and treat people from a biological sense. And so they're not really oriented towards spirituality, though other parts of UCLA, strict department of psychiatry isn't really that open. But nationally and internationally, I think people are becoming more and more open. I give trainings for doctors and healthcare professionals. I'm giving one on March 2nd to 4th to train them to be able to treat empaths properly and not over-medicate them or misdiagnose them, or if they're empaths themselves, how to, really be a thriving practitioner and not absorb your patient's stress and pain, which many empath healthcare professionals do. So I'm trying to do my part to educate the scientific community, but traditionally, empaths get over-medicated, misdiagnosed, because traditional medicine doesn't believe in energy fields. They don't believe that we are comprised of these subtle energy fields that penetrate our body and extend way beyond them. And that can have an intense effect on our behavior, on our physiology, our neurology. And so they don't believe that we can absorb energy from other people. So, that makes diagnosing an empath really difficult because empaths live in the world of energy. I'm an empath. I can sense you. I can sense other people. I feel what's invisible. And that's how I've always led my life. I've never known anything different than that. You see, and not everybody does that. And I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying that many, many people are empaths and are ashamed of it and feel like there's something wrong with them because they're misdiagnosed as agoraphobia, generalized anxiety disorder, depression, when really the primary diagnosis is you're an empath, and here's what you do about it. You don't go first line to medications. You learn how to not absorb the energy of others into your own body and begin to think of it from a totally different mindset. That's why I wrote the Empath Survival Guide, to give people a lens to see the experience in a very practical way, because I love being an empath. I wouldn't know what it's like not to be, and I wouldn't want to, because my experience of life is so deep. And my intuition can go to so many different levels. And I love nature, as many empaths do. I love water. But I have a great need for alone time, as many empaths do, and solitude and quiet. Now, I couldn't live in a house with the TV blaring all the time. It would just assault me. Right. And, there are some accommodations I have to make with my partner because of my need for alone time, and there are conversations that he and I have to have all the time, about what it's like for me to be an empath and feel comfortable and compromise and all that. So it's a whole new world when you open up as an empath. And there are many different things to consider other than you have a pathological diagnosis.
I sleep with the TV on.
Oh.
Now, so that kills that right there. But let's talk about this for a second. How does one know if they are an empath or not? Because this audience is a big audience. And right now they're listening to you, and some are saying, you know what, I'm resonating with this. I've always wondered if I'm an empath. They may not be. How does one figure that out? Because a lot of people are drained by malls or crowded subways, if you know what I mean, what have you. And that doesn't mean that they are an empath, right?
Well, they might be partial empaths because non-empaths actually get energized by large parties and noise and lots of people. Right. They feel like something's happening and, they're really, getting energized by it. But there's a self-assessment test in the beginning of the Empath Survival Guide. So you can self-diagnose yourself if you're an empath. And some of the questions include, have I been labeled overly sensitive or introverted all my life? Do I frequently get overwhelmed or anxious?
Wow,
do I often feel like I don't fit in? That's very common, where I felt as a little girl that I wish that, my real family from another planet would land in my front yard and take me away.
Right. Yeah, I am definitely not an empath. I mean, I just went down the checkbook. I'm the opposite of everything. I want the party. I want the crowded room. I want, I love, and I am gregarious. I got to be the loudest guy in the room. It's just the way that it is. So my hopes are dashed.
I think it's wonderful how you are. It's wonderful how we all are. But the thing is with empaths is that they kind of cower in the corners and they think there's something wrong with them. And, they're very sensitive to noise, smells, or excessive talking and chemical sensitivities, and they prefer to take their own car places so they could leave early. And all of this should not be labeled as, quote, neurotic.
Right.
It's about, I want everyone listening to just know that there's nothing wrong with you. And when you really learn how to honor your needs and not take on the energy of others, then you can thrive as an empath. I mean, you can really soar. I have so much fun in life. And I love deep. I love going deep with people. I don't like a lot of people at once, but I like one-to-one or a few people. And I see patients. So I have that one-to-one depth of contact, which I've done since I did my residency, in the 80s.
And I was just going to say, like a small dinner party, 4, 5, 6 people, you thrive there, don't you?
Well, that's actually a large dinner party to me.
Oh, me. Wow. We are opposites. I find that fascinating. I really
we can still
do.
Be friends.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, the next dinner party that we have, we'll make sure that it's extra small for you. But let's continue down this road. So, for you with your patients and your one-on-one, do you disclose with them that you're an empath?
Well, most of them know, because that's why they come to me.
Right. Okay, a dumb question, but I think I know. You know what I'm alluding to here. Is this something that you are completely open with now?
Well, if somebody came to me and they didn't know this, let's say, I wouldn't make a big deal about it. I wouldn't mention it. I would just use it to help them and to be of service to them. And with our children, this is very interesting. If we see some of these things going on with our children, let's not jump to conclusions here and think that it's some kind of OCD or there's something else going on here, that's some crazy chronic thing that just they may be sensitive, and we need to identify that very early. Exactly. And I feel especially strongly about that because I wasn't, acknowledged. I was all alone as a child, and it's a horrible feeling to not know what's going on. And I was an only child anyway, so it was, lonely. and, to raise them and support them in a way where they can thrive. And there's a chapter in the book on raising empath children and what to look for if your child is an empath and how to help them and how to help bring out all their talents and their gifts. And one thing that parents traditionally do is they overschedule their children. If they're an empath, that won't work well. The empath child will get overwhelmed or sick or, anxious. So empath children are very creative and they love, their alone time where they can imagine. I remember always living between the spaces of everything. I always knew there was a reality that was so much bigger and so much more interesting than this one. And I would just kind of find my way there in my daydreams. And empath children often like to do that because their intuition is so intense. They can feel into realities that, most people can't. And so parents need to be aware of that.
What percentage of us are empaths?
Well, there's been studies done by Elaine Aron on high sensitivity, and it's about 20%. However, I feel it's more than that because on my book tour for the Empath Survival Guide, I met people all around the country who were never empaths before as children or earlier in their life, but have become empaths now as a result of the world situation and the insane amount of stress, negativity, and horror every day that gets transmitted through the news. And so their normal defenses aren't working and they get tired and they get upset and they feel more sensitive than they ever have in their lives. And so empaths are being awakened each day just by the sheer level of stress and negativity that's in the airwaves.
What is that? Is that advice that should be dispensed regularly? Avoid the news. I do. I avoid it. Changes me physically if I watch any mainstream media. I get very upset. So maybe I am a little bit of an empath. But is that advice that everybody should listen to?
Well, especially empaths. Each person has to decide for themselves how much they can take, but it's very negative to keep having that input into your psyche. You want to read poetry and, read novels and meditate and go out in nature and be good to your family and experience love and connection. You don't want to focus all your energies on this darkness that's all around us all the time. It's just not healthy.
But if you're a biker in a gang, right, and you're an empath, you can't tell him to read poetry.
Well, he probably does read poetry.
He probably does. But you know what I mean? So how do we start to address this? I mean, there are those out there that know that they're getting upset by certain things, but they have a lifestyle, but they need to initiate change, or there could be a bad diagnosis coming down the road.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true, because when you're on sensory overload chronically for year after year, your immunity goes down. And I've also written a chapter in the book on empaths and health and autoimmune diseases, because when you're constantly stressed out, your immunity goes down, and then you're just susceptible to things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and all kinds of things, and adrenal burnout. And so what you have to learn as an empath is how to calm your energy and your body and really remedy the sensory overload. Because sensory overload is extremely painful. I have it at times when I'm in situations that I can't avoid, like being in airports and being stuck there. It's really a trigger for me. It's just too much stimulation, and it's painful. And so I encourage empaths to just catch it early. If you notice you're going on sensory overload, stop, breathe, go in the bathroom, wherever you are, do a meditation, the heart meditation that I describe in the book, to bring your energy down. And so you have to learn these techniques to shift your own energy very quickly. And when you do, life is very different, because you don't go year after year just feeling awful on sensory overload.
About 10 years ago, doctor, I encountered something like that. I had to go to my doctor. My hands hurt like the surface of my skin, I could feel and it was only from the wrist up, right? I could feel my nerves. I could feel the ends of my nerves. It was a bizarre thing. I thought I was losing my mind. And the only thing that would chill it out was cold water. And I was constantly washing all day long, right? Just constantly chilling. I finally went to my doctor. She prescribed this some nerve ending medication. I took one, and it stopped it for the night. But she also said, you need to. You're getting a sensory overload. You are excited. You need to calm down, and you need more sleep. And and so the first night I took the medication. Yes, it ended. It was like the misery was gone. But what I started doing was not getting excited, trying not to, and sleeping more, and that fixed it. Could I have not taken the medication and still fixed it?
Oh, probably. Did you just take it temporarily?
I took it one night.
Oh, yeah. Well, sleep is the great balm and great healer. Whenever I get overloaded, I just go in my room, close the door, nobody's allowed in, and I sleep, I meditate, I just quiet it down. But sleep is just essential if you want to heal. You can't not sleep, or you can't sleep 4 hours a night and heal properly.
Right.
So healing is so deep. And there's a type of empath called a dream empath, which, I am. And I've always remembered my dreams since I've been little, and I follow their guidance. So I need to dream, and I need to remember my dreams and write them down because they guide me each day. And if I don't sleep, I can't remember my dreams. And so it's just a vicious cycle. So I need my sleep. So I really underscore your point, how important sleep is for healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Dr. Judith Orloff, and we're talking about her book, The Empath Survival Guide, Life Strategies for Sensitive People. She's also going to be speaking at the Conscious Life Expo in 2 short weeks right here in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. More with the good doctor right after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Backley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Dr. Judith Orloff, MD on Twitter. The links are up. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Use the promo code F2B blend. You'll get 15% off of your order. Now, Dr. Judith, I just mentioned coffee, right? We're big coffee people around here. Is that something that could be negative towards an empath, getting the nerves a little excited?
Well, it can go either way, because coffee can be a mild antidepressant, and it can help you to feel balanced. I depend on my 1 cup of coffee in the morning. It just gets me going and my creativity. But if I drink more than that, I'll burn myself out. So each empath really has to determine, with food, with coffee, with anything, now how does it feel in your body? And if you abuse it, are you going to burn out? Is your stomach going to be, upset? Are you going to have insomnia or other problems? You have to kind of weigh and measure everything. But being an empath doesn't mean that you can't, enjoy wonderful food or, drink coffee. It just means you have to be sensitive to your body if you overstimulate yourself or if you burn yourself out. Now,
we started to talk about this earlier, which is this turning it on and off. Being able to how does one go about that? If you super sensitive and everything is electric in your world, and you're hearing and seeing all of these things, how do you turn it off?
Well, I set really good boundaries with people. Empaths need to learn how to say no to people. And they're often people pleasers. They want everyone to be happy. They want everyone to heal everyone. And that's a big cause for burnout among empaths because they're such givers. And so I've learned to really say no and to have fierce time management. I don't, let too many people invade my space. There's a chapter in the book on energy vampires, and these are people who can suck the very life out of you. And so I don't really give them the time of day. I set limits. I say no. I don't engage them. And there are all kinds of strategies on what to do with different types that empaths need to learn. But you do need to learn how to deal with these kinds of influences, because otherwise you're just going to be sapped and overloaded all the time.
And this question just came in from Twitter, and the question is this: my cousin has bipolar disorder, diagnosed and medicated. Could that, in some cases, be misdiagnosed as an empath?
Probably not. But this person could have part empathy and part empath, and that when you learn how to ground yourself, oftentimes, with bipolar, you have to ground yourself. It's very essential because your biochemistry is going all over the place, bouncing all over the place. So you have to use techniques through meditation, through being in nature, through visualizations to ground yourself. And it can only help this person who's bipolar, to learn these techniques. And if it really makes a difference, then I would say, yes, this person is part empath. But when your biochemistry is bouncing around like that, it's also just physical.
Are we over-medicated today?
I think so. Everybody's over-medicated. If you look at television, there are ads every 2 seconds for medications. They're looking at us like a sick society. And so everyone's, hypochondriac. They always think they have something because of the money, behind, big pharma, is really poisoning our minds to what true health means.
Do you have that problem? Do you have, your patients coming to you with the diagnosis that they got from television?
Maybe not just from television, but from a psychiatrist or a general practitioner, where I get sent people who were not diagnosed properly as empaths, and they were given, let's say, Valium or Xanax or Risperdal, which is for really intense anxiety, due to what's known as psychosis, or they're given lithium for bipolar. So, the first thing I do when I see a patient is I give them the self-assessment exam to see if they're an empath, because that changes how I treat them enormously. Because if you have somebody who's absorbing the energy of other people into their body all the time, and they've been doing that since they've been a child, they have to learn techniques not to do that. And when you do, I can't tell you the revelations that people have. They could finally feel comfortable in their own skin because they feel in control of what comes into their bodies.
How quick? How quick does that happen, where they finally start to settle down?
Oh, pretty quick. It's such an aha. It's such a missing piece for a lot of people, because they identify with so much of, what I'm talking about and the questions. I've received so many emails and thank yous, and I've worked with, so many people where knowing this piece of information can be a radical turning point for somebody who has never been given the context to see themselves in a positive way.
What's the difference, though, between empathy and being an empath? Because, what is the difference?
Well, empathy is when your heart goes out to someone, either in sadness or pain or with happiness. If somebody just, has a baby born and they're so happy, your heart goes out to them. But with an empath, your heart goes out to them, but you absorb that energy. You're like a sponge, and you absorb that happiness or that sadness into your own body. But empaths aren't really trained to ask the question, is this emotion mine or somebody else's? As the minute you start to train yourself to view situations like that, then you can really deal with things differently.
So you can be an empath with empathy, but but if you have empathy, you're not necessarily an empath.
Correct.
I don't want to sound like a novice here, and that sounds very simple, but for most that may be a hard thing to differentiate.
Yeah, well, the key is whether you're absorbing energy from other people, and just notice, does your energy go up and down around certain people? Do you suddenly feel angry when you didn't feel that way before? Do you suddenly feel nervous, or are all your symptoms exacerbated when you're around certain people?
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead and finish.
Yeah, so when you have to ask yourself that, and a quick way to know that is to just get 50 feet away from them. You're outside of their energy field, and usually those kind of symptoms go down.
And can you see the energy, too, as well as an empath?
Me personally?
Yes.
Yes, I can sometimes, especially during meditation or if I'm in an altered state. And even I feel it all over. I mean, that's the joy of being an empath, but I don't absorb it. I've always seen reality as pinpoints of light. I've seen reality like that since I've been a child, and not everybody sees it that way. When I look at a white ceiling, or a wall, I see pinpoints of colored light, and that's just my baseline perception.
That's very interesting. And you also mentioned dreams.
Yes. I'm a big lover of dreams, and the dream empath loves dreams, and they are able to travel in their dreams. They're able to get guidance in their dreams, and even sometimes healing energy in their dreams. And so anyone who's listening, maybe you had dreams as a child and then you've lost track of them. And maybe you're listening to me and you suddenly feel something where you want to remember them again. Then get a dream journal, put it by your bed, ask a question before you go to sleep at night, such as, please send me a dream, just to begin again. And then in the morning, in the hypnagogic state between sleep and waking, just be silent and see whatever comes to you. It can be a color, it can be an emotion, it can be a flash, whatever it is, then write it down immediately because you won't remember it later. As dreams are very elusive because you're in a different level of awareness. And then use that information that you write down to guide your life. I literally was guided to go to medical school on the basis of a dream I had.
When somebody has a problem remembering dreams or waking up in that state, and I think that most do. We talk about that a lot on this show. What do we do about that? Me, personally, I remember my dreams. Okay, I just do. I have that ability. I can remember them to the last detail. I can go in and out of a prior dream and pick up in that chapter where I left off. I have that ability, but most don't.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. You can start wherever you are. And most people are asleep, when they're awake. Because they're not aware of so many things that are going on, in terms of levels of perceptions and realities. And, that's just the nature of a lot of humanity. But, if you want to remember your dream, that's all it will take. You don't want to do this if you don't really want to do it. It's something you're drawn to do in terms of developing intuition or developing dreaming as an art, sacred art. It's a devotion to me. I mean, I feel really strongly about these things. It's my spiritual practice. And so when I do it, I see it as sacred information given to me to show me how to lead my life, to show me how to help others. So it's a very, very precious thing to me to remember my dreams, or to be in touch with my intuition, or to be able to sense energy. It's not just a biological happening. It's a deep spiritual context to my whole life, you see. So, and I know that I've taught so many people to dream, and I've taught so many people to contact their intuition over the years. And if you want that level of perception is available to you. And the way you find it is that you have to learn to get a little bit quiet within yourself, or at least go walking in nature and meditate in nature so you can get out of your jabbering monkey mind, which just takes all the space up. It takes all the psychic space up in your brain and in your being. It's just unbelievably loud and perseverant. It never lets up. But if you recognize that and just let it do its thing, and then use your breath to shift to a place which I consider the heart energy, or the place of loving kindness inside the heart, you'll be able to allow the mind to just jabber away and not even be aware of it. It's just in the background. And so learning how to shift levels of awareness, this is what I teach healthcare professionals. How do you do this? Because when I treat my patients, I'm not in my ordinary level of awareness. I've shifted into a larger state so I can feel them and be with them and help them to the best of my ability. You see, so everybody can learn to do this. It's a human right to have intuition. You don't have to be an empath necessarily, but you do have to be willing to give up your jabbering mind for a little while. And that's a little threatening to some people because that's their grasp on reality, you see. So, it's just something I have a lot of compassion with. But if you want to do it, it's right there for you. And if you want to dream tonight, especially after listening to the show and hearing us talking, just get a journal or get a piece of paper, write down a question. It could be anything that is troubling you or anything you want clarification about. Write it down. How can I get closer to my mother? How can I have a better relationship? Where is my soulmate? How can my health be better? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Choose one question only, because if you choose more than one, the results can get blurred. And then sincerely ask it. Then don't go to sleep right after you're on the computer or talking on the phone or doing your bills. Give yourself a little bit of time before you go into sleep. And just be quiet, take a bath, look up at the night sky, do something contemplative so you don't go from this material world state just, now I'm asleep, now I'm awake. It's much better to have a transition period into sleep, and then you're more likely remembering your dreams. And then if you can allow that 5 minutes in the morning to be quiet when you awaken and just write down anything, anything you remember, and do it for a week. And I promise you, something will come. You just have to train yourself to awaken.
The world of 1970, 71, 72, the awakening of the consciousness movement that went on, for me, kind of came and went, and it kind of settled down a little bit. But here in 2017, the last 10 or 15 years, this has started to really get strength. And I think that the world is starting to recognize this type of mindset. Do you feel the same thing that I feel, that there is an awakening worldwide?
I do. I can feel it. And I can feel it in individuals. I can see it in individuals. And I see the collective joining together, in massive, numbers, promoting positive energy or belief in women's power and so forth, where we're gathering the steam, we're gathering the energy up. And I deeply believe in the power of the individual to transform. An individual has the power to transform and emit more light. And one by one, we can, ignite each other's light. But light is the key word. You want to really stay close to your light. And that means if you're an empath, coming to terms with your abilities and learning how to protect your energy, center yourself, be around non-toxic people, try and find work that you love, learn to set boundaries, and then you'll have more access to your light because you won't always be fighting with all these issues. You don't want to be on that level all the time. You want to be meditating and opening up your heart and connecting and listening for guidance so you know what to do to help others or to help the world if that's what you want to do. It's really a beautiful thing to kind of mature as an empath so you can have certain tools at your disposal so you just don't feel a victim of this very overwhelming world.
Have you found, and if I interrupted you, do you need to finish? I feel like I just jumped in. Okay. Do you feel that some empaths may self-medicate, alcohol, drug use, to try to chill down what is going on with them?
Oh, for sure. There's a chapter in the book on empaths and addiction.
Okay, doctor, whatever you're moving there, you can't move.
Okay.
Whatever that is really okay. So let's go back to the question. Do some empaths self-medicate, through drugs and alcohol to chill out this world that they're in?
Oh, definitely they do. Because empaths, there's a chapter in the book on empaths and addiction because it's such a common thing. And I treat so many empaths in recovery from drugs, alcohol, sex, food, whatever it is, because their sensory overload is so intense that they wanted to numb it out and just, cut off that, hypersensitivity. And so they turn to substances. And so that's very common. And I write about in the book how I did that too, many years ago to try and cope with my abilities. I had to really come to grips with that in myself as an empath, to be able to handle life as it is, without substances. Because it's really hard being an empath without tools. But once you have tools, then it's a whole different experience of living.
What did you go through? What were you self-medicating with, and how did you get out of it?
Well, I wrote about that in the book, but it's, I went through at a very young age, I took a lot of hallucinogenics, which actually I'm happy about because it really opened my mind in a good way. But I hadn't taken any of those for quite, since I was a teenager. But then, I got involved with other kinds of drugs, not so much alcohol, but, speed and Quaaludes. I went through a Quaalude stage, and it was just all about numbing my body, and numbing my sensitivities. And so the way a few ways I got out of it, I've been in 12-step programs for many, many years. And also I have a Taoist teacher who, has been so instrumental in my life in terms of teaching me about energies and grounding and meditation. So, all of those techniques and just, trying to build a life that makes sense for me rather than squashing my feelings as an empath. There's a chapter in the book on empaths and love. And I used to use substances when I was in relationship because I was so uncomfortable in the relationship and I was so afraid of expressing my own needs as an empath. And so, it's all interrelated. It's a very common theme that, I talk about so that others out there can, identify with it, because I know how many people are looking for their soulmates and yet they're attracting all these unavailable people and wondering why. And, it's because, on a very subliminal level, empaths are afraid of intimacy because it's too much energy. It's too many reasons to express your own needs when you're not skilled at that. And so it's much safer being with an unavailable person, as you don't have to do that. So this is the art of being an empath. And so in relationship, which was, a big trigger for me because I never expressed myself and then I bolted after a certain amount of time because I felt so overwhelmed, so in relation with my partner now, I have to be really honest about where I'm at and what my needs are. And that has been very important for me as an empath being in a relationship.
Well, doesn't that empathy energy go both ways? If you're in a negative energy situation, like around people, can you put forth your energy to counterbalance, a little kung fu?
Yeah, of course you can, but it's work, to do that. And it's, you can, and of course the heart can overcome everything. It can infuse, amazingly beautiful energy into a room full of negativity. You can do that and it will work. And it's always a beautiful thing to do, but you don't want to, stress yourself out so much to be around negative people all the time. It's just not healthy. It's, can cause all kinds of problems if you're around energy vampires. And in the book, I talk about narcissists who are the exact opposite of empath. They have what's called an empathy deficient disorder. And what that is that they aren't wired to feel empathy as we know it. And so they don't really care about your feelings, but they could be so charming. And empaths and narcissists have a toxic attraction. And so, it's very damaging for empaths. I've helped so many empaths get out of these toxic relationships with narcissists, but it takes a really long time because they're so charming and they know how to reel you back in. So it's, very important dynamic.
Yeah, totally. But can that type of relationship actually be healthy? Because you always have, the empath is, the empathy side, I can fix this narcissist, right?
Right.
I know what to do here. And then, of course, the narcissist on the other side is totally feeding the empath. And so it's magnetic, and I don't even know if you could get out of that. If the attraction is there, maybe even physically.
Oh, sure, you can get out of it, but it's just really hard. It's really hard, and empaths have to decide if they feel deserving of love because they're not going to be getting it from the narcissist. It just isn't going to happen because they don't feel things in the same way that we do. And it's very hard for empaths to get that because they think everyone feels the way they do. And it's just not true.
Oh, man. And I often wonder how many relationships out there are exactly that. And the opposite, too. What about empath and empath hanging out? That sounds like it could get a little bit dangerous. And also the narcissist, with the narcissist, too, as well.
Yeah, well, in the book, I go through various possibilities. The empath with the empath with the rock, who was what I have, somebody who's really strong, solid, but not absorbing energy. He doesn't have that system that I have that's sensitive to everything, which for me is excellent, because I have a person who's grounding me instead of, if I was with another empath, it would just be too much for me. However, some empaths prefer being with empaths because you don't have to, reinvent the wheel with them. They get where you're coming from. And so they understand, but they have to be careful not to kind of fuel the fire. If both of them are triggered and they both are anxious or both are feeling bad, they could really make each other worse. And so they have to know to go off into their own separate spaces at those points and work it out separately.
Yeah, of course, because you don't want somebody knowing or understanding your every move either. Right? I mean, that's just not fun anymore. You need to be challenged a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And for me, with the way my energy is, I love to have the balance. As I could be feeling all this stuff, and my partner, I said, how are you feeling? He goes, what do you mean? Feeling what? So he doesn't really pick up. He's sensitive and wonderful, but he doesn't pick up things like I do.
And that's exactly my point. So, yeah, if you're around somebody that is just totally getting you 24/7, right? You need to be pushed a little bit, or have questions asked instead of understanding all the time. And I don't want to be a downer on this, but I think you know where I'm going.
Yeah, but those are your needs. You're talking about you. And so each person has their own distinct needs. I mean, some people might be like you, but some people might not be.
Yeah. Well, Rita, my better half, she challenges me all day long. Everything out of my mouth gets challenged. Trust me. It keeps me on my toes. Let's take a break right here. I've got a whole bunch of really interesting questions that have been coming in from our audience, and we'll get to those too as well. And at the top of the hour, we're going to take some phone calls, so get ready for that. Our guest tonight, Dr. Judith Orloff. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. And last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Twitter is out of control tonight, and you can thank Dr. Judith Orloff for that. You can follow her, too, Judy Orloff, MD, on Twitter. Now, Dr. Judith, the thought of which is the way to go, mind, body, spirit, wellness, that's the opposite of Big Pharma's goals, isn't it? You're fighting the good fight here. Do you feel pushback?
There's so much pressure to take medications every which way you go. But, there is, a big change happening in healthcare, too, with functional medicine. And there are many doctors who are more trained in mind, body, spirit than there ever have been. So you always have the option, if to go to somebody who's a functional medicine doctor, which is somebody skilled in both. But our Western society is so addicted to medications all the time. We feel that if something's wrong, we want to reach for a pill to fix it. We don't have any conception, or a lot of people don't have any conception of how we can shift our states on our own. I'm not saying that sometimes it's not necessary. If you have diabetes, you need to take insulin, in addition to lifestyle changes to lower your sugar and get your body more balanced. But, there are times when you do need to take it, but there's so many times when you don't. And there's so many times when you could just, with empaths in particular, because empaths get overprescribed anti-anxiety medications and antidepressants rather than giving them skills that I'm trying to offer on how to cope with overwhelm and how to enjoy their abilities. They're just medicated. Then they get addicted to the medication and have to detox from the medication, and that's a whole difficult process. And so ideally, empaths can be diagnosed initially so that they could be treated properly and not over-medicated.
Is empath a diagnosis?
Yeah, it is. It's not in the DSM-4. Unfortunately, the diagnoses in the DSM are pathological diagnoses, meaning there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And so being an empath is more of a word that categorizes, certain experiences we all have that can lead the way to bettering our lives by learning certain skills. I'd put it that way. It's, a very similar kind of thing. It's called sensory processing disorder. And it's where people, are just very sensitive to light, sound, smells, everything like an empath. And there may be similarities, but I really have an argument with calling it a disorder. Whenever you label something as a disorder, you have no idea how much damage that does to people, because they think there's something wrong with them instead of something right with them that they have to work with.
I wanted to, this question came in earlier. I'm going to do it now because it's very interesting. Back to your dreams. Have you had any visions or experienced the multiverse through your dreams?
Oh, all the time. That's what it is. Because when you sleep and dream, you're no longer in your physical body in the same way, and you can travel. And so you can I've had all kinds of experiences of universes and people I've never spoken to before in this reality here. And, people have passed over, and my mother came back after she passed over and communicated. Just all kinds of things can happen when your linear mind is taking a little rest. So you don't have it jabbering all the time. That's the beauty of dreams, is that when your mind is sleeping, you can really experience what's out there. But also you get psychological information about yourself on how to live on Earth. And, if you have anxiety, what are some issues you have to deal with? If you have a dream, let's say a nightmare, and somebody is chasing you on the side of a cliff, and you're running, and you wake up in the morning, you don't just say, oh, I'm so glad that was a dream. You have to, in your waking hours, in meditation, find out who's chasing you. Maybe it's your alcoholic father. Maybe it's, your ex-husband. Who knows? Or your wife, who is, damaging. Who knows who it was? But you have to know so that you can stop running and you can face whatever it is you have to face with that person, so you don't have the dream anymore. If you don't, then you're going to keep having the repetitive dream over and over again until your consciousness, is saying, awaken, face this in yourself. And the dream isn't being cruel. It's just trying to get your attention.
Now, for this audience, and when we're talking about empaths and intuitive empaths, we've had a lot of guests on the show that say just that. There are many charlatans in the world, too, as well. Is there a way for me or this audience to tell if somebody is a true intuitive empath or not?
You mean if they're going to them for help?
No. If they are saying that they are and that they have this ability.
Well, the one parameter I would use is if they're using it for the good. They're not just saying, oh, I can do this, I can do that. I could care less personally about that. But how are they using these abilities, and how is it helping them thrive as a human being, and how is it helping friendships, and how is it helping your relationship with your family? How is it helping your meditations? I mean, people go around and brag about being an empath, right. And I don't support that at all.
And why, is it to impress? You know exactly where I'm going. Why would somebody do that?
I mean, why does anybody brag? It's because they feel insecure and they want to feel valuable.
Right. And I wanted to go here for a second, and I hope it's in your wheelhouse. When I talk to channelers, right, those that have the ability to channel, you just said that your mom came and visited you from the other side, and that's one thing. Those that are channeling, are they empaths?
They could be, but the quality of the channel can vary tremendously. And so you want to go to a channel, if you're going to one, that is helpful. And how do you know if they're helpful? Is if what they suggest is helping you. If they make helpful suggestions, if they try and get you hooked in, if they try and control you, if they try and take all your money, no, that's not good.
Yeah, and the other part of this is that I think there's a lot of genuine talent out there. And I also feel that maybe we all have the ability to channel, and I think all of us may be empaths, and I mean everybody. Do you? And I'm not exaggerating in what I'm saying here. Do you think that children today, that there are more empaths born into society than ever before?
Oh, more and more and more. The indigo children, the creative, insightful children who are concerned about the world at such a young age. They want to better the world. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And they're sensitive and open, but they often feel alone and they feel overwhelmed by the world. So that's why the parents are such important guides to these kind of beautiful children.
Continue. I think I look at my own children who they're in their 20s now, but way more advanced than I was at any age.
Right?
Yes,
that's true.
Far more developed. I think there's something being triggered in our DNA. As crazy as that sounds, we are evolving, and we're evolving both on the conscious level and the supernatural. And I think that there is a generation now around us that is completely aware and awake.
Yes, and that's why it's so important that they had you as a parent and Rita as a parent, to be able to raise your children with that kind of understanding of there's more than reality than this. And it's beautiful to expand your perceptions and be who you are. And just know there's more than what we see, in front of us. I laugh because it's so obvious, to a lot of people, but some people don't have a clue. They really, really don't. They think this is it. This is it. And I can understand why they would think that. But when you begin to open up your mind a little bit, and if you're an empath, especially, you can sense there's something other than this because you feel so much. You can feel it. Even if you don't see it, you feel that there is something out there with energy that expands. And when you look up at the sky and you see the stars and feel the mystery of that, it's pulsating energy. If you let yourself get into it and get your mind out of the way and just feel. Now, empaths are so good at feeling and sensing energy. And when you sense the energy of the universe, it's ecstatic. All you have to do tonight, everyone, look up and begin to feel. Take a few breaths. And just look at the stars or if it's even cloudy, look at the clouds, look at the enormity of the sky and begin to feel what that is, not to think it. Because especially in Western society, we overthink everything. And in Western medicine, everything is, through the mind. And as much as I admire the mind and use my analytic mind, I know it's not everything.
You know what's funny? Listening to you right now, when you said that there are people out there that think this is it.
Yeah.
Now, it's crazy talk, isn't it? Because, you go to a conference like Conscious Life Expo. Everybody there is seeking knowledge and is enlightened and just wants to know the answers that are out there presented. Could you imagine going to a skeptics convention?
It would be pretty painful, but it's
pretty boring.
Living in life sometimes in certain circles is a skeptics convention.
Yeah, right? You'd walk in there and it's, hey, what's going on? Well, this is it. What do you mean? Well, there's nothing going on. We're skeptics, right? I mean, it's just, there are people out there that walk around all day long just thinking to themselves that there is nothing to think about. There's nothing to question. There's nothing to wonder. There's nothing to dream about. And that is their bliss. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can. I try and put myself in the position as an empath of everyone. I guess I could feel them. But yeah, I can see what would, they want control. They want to, think they know something. They want the security of the known, not the unknown. Sure, I can get it, why people do that. It isn't reality, and they're missing out on so much, bliss that's out there and so many fun things that are happening other than the mind. But so be it. Maybe in this incarnation, that's what they're meant to develop. I don't really try and judge people too much.
I do. Have you found your bliss?
Oh, at times, definitely. Definitely at times. That I'm human. I go up and down. I go through everything. I'm on a spiritual path. I look at my emotions as teachers, and some days are bliss and some days aren't, But one thing I have to say about myself is even if I'm miserable, I'm happy because I feel, my essence is happy. And I have come to accept myself and be comfortable in my own skin. I could be going through a situation that's miserable, but deep down, I feel good about me. And that is the most important thing. When you can feel that way, it can get you through anything.
As a psychiatrist, I'm curious to know your take on this. Back in December, the mainstream media picked up on this UFO disclosure story, UFOs, the Pentagon, Senator Harry Reid, FA-18s off the coast of San Diego filming UFOs, and this came out of the Pentagon. And this went wide into the mainstream media, outside of our circle, outside of our community for the first time to have this go into the mainstream. How do you think the rest of the world took that news, that we are not alone in the universe and that there is something else going on this planet? How, from a psychiatrist's point of view, because the old version of this story, when it would break, is that we would have social collapse and religions and the economy and disorder and so forth. How do you think the rest of the world took that news?
I think it depends who it is, but I think a lot of the world went into denial and said that can't exist. And then, others, it was perfectly natural. Of course, I've never not believed in extraterrestrial life. And I've always known, of course there is. And it doesn't have to be exactly as we perceive it here in this time-based reality. It could be a timeless kind of place. We're just seeing things in a very solid time-space orientation here. But not all realities are like that. And so extraterrestrial can mean anything but here. But also, I've always believed life is on other planets as well. But so it's never been a point of, argument in my own head. It just has always seemed totally natural. And I just hope, we can treat them well when we meet them.
As I realize your profession and I respect that, but I do have to ask you, because that's a pretty grounded view of the world that you have. Have you ever seen anything in the sky that you can't explain that has made you step back and go, now that was weird?
Not exactly. I always am looking at the sky. Every night I look up and I am deeply interested in that, but I haven't seen anything unusual, though I know so much is out there. I've seen amazing shooting stars, and amazing formations and energies that appear, but I haven't seen what you're talking about necessarily. But if I did, again, my hope is that we'll be welcoming and that the whole military won't come out and cause this horrible problem.
You need to go hang out with us one night and do and I'm not kidding. It's a paradigm shifting thing when it does go down. The first time it happened for me, I've seen strange things here and there. Okay, that's all cool. But when you're with a group of people and this consciousness thing is going on, I'm talking, a couple of hundred people, and then something appears in the sky and everybody screams at the same time, and this thing zigzags and changes color and then flashes off up into the stars. That's a game changer. And you need to go do that with us.
Okay.
No, I'm being serious. I
am too.
Okay. Because, and this is, again, as a psychiatrist, when you have millions of people saying the same thing, witnessing the same things in the sky, and then you have the scientific establishment and, of course, the political and military establishment saying no, but yet millions of people can't be crazy, can they? What is it?
It's people who are open to, larger realities than this. It's just the nature of humanity. Some people are asleep. Some people are more open. Some people are grounded with it. Some people aren't. But what I'm saying is that, and you're saying all of this is possible, and empaths have a special tune into all this. You don't have to go to the extraterrestrials. I don't know what you feel about that. But, in terms of other realities that exist, empaths can feel that. Because when empaths pick up something, it's like feeling something with 50 fingers instead of 5 fingers. So we have extrasensory abilities, not ESP, but extrasensory abilities, as our senses are so heightened, and so we can feel everything. And what you're describing It just sounds like so much fun to me. I don't need it to prove to me that such life exists. I don't need that personally, but it sounds like a tremendously fun experience of experiencing all that together.
It's pretty amazing. And the other part of it is, though, it's a support group too as well. In that, as everybody there can walk away going, okay, we had witnesses. Right? Yeah. That's the thing. Because if you're by yourself and you see something, it's just a story. The fish was this big. Okay, great. All right. That's your story. You can stick to it. But when you have a support group around you and this goes down, then you have the witnesses and you're okay with it. And that's the beautiful part. You need to go and do it with us, and I do invite you. This comes in from Sabrina. And she says, Judith, have you looked at how you've been trained to think and believe, yet to see how we have been psychological manipulated to think and believe as we do? That has been where my abilities have taken me. It is showing me how to reverse what was taught. What do you think about that?
Excellent. I firmly believe that you need to reteach yourself any negative patterns or untruths that came through your childhood or came through, the world. You have to follow your own intuitive truths. And for me, my path is mainly being a Taoist. And in Taoism, they believe in the power of the heart above all else. And so, Sabrina, you need to feel into the power of your heart and trust that to reprogram yourself and make everything go through the lens of the heart, and then you'll know if something is true and healthy for you. And I think that's what she's saying.
Yes. And thank you for that. And also today, there is, the autism question and vaccines and vaccinations, but certainly autism is on the rise. Yeah. Do you think that is interrelated with significant empath abilities too?
Well, it could be. I've been asked that question. I have an empath support community on Facebook where I have over 10,000 empaths who are constantly talking to one another and sharing and supporting. And I've been asked the question so many times about autism, and they've been going back and forth. Is autism related to being an empath? And I think many people who are on the spectrum are empaths, but I don't believe that empaths are necessarily autistic.
Have you seen the movie Vaxxed?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard about the movie Vaxxed? Let's go there.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then, it's related and it's not with that question with autism. Vaxxed puts forward a pretty strong case of evidence. The fraud side of it and the CDC is one thing, but the other part of it is that the vaccinations may be causing autism. And that's part of the rise that we are seeing, and it is increasing at a crazy rate. I mean, that, like in 10 years, it's like 8 out of 10 children could be diagnosed with autism. It's like it's on the rise. It's a very crazy film to watch.
Right.
We're going to be headed towards a break, and everybody, before we get there, we are going to take some phone calls when we come back. 323-825-5045. The other part of spirituality for you, when it comes to empaths, is it something that we need to, and I want to ask this question right, something that we need to embrace instead of push away as an empath?
I definitely think so. And spirituality can be defined differently for many people. Sometimes it can be a religion. It could be Jesus. It could not be religious. It could be nature. It can be Hashem. It can be the goddess. It can be the ocean. It can be the stars. It can be nature. It can be the unseen. I mean, there's so many different names for spirit and God, throughout human history. And each person has to feel into their own hearts, what feels like something greater than you, that you can, at 3 a.m, you have something to turn to. So it's not just some manufactured belief system, but it's truly in your heart. And you can sense the energy of this, being, or this intelligence, or this, I consider, God or goddess love, that unconditional love that is all around us, so far beyond our minds and judgment. If only we can get beyond our minds to feel it. And so that's where I go when I center myself. I open up to my heart, which is the connector to a greater spirit. And that works for me. I can't tell you how many times as an empath, I have just been overstimulated, thrown off, sensory overload, filled with emotion, triggered, whatever the situation was. And I come back to my sacred space and my altar, and I put my hands together and I tune into spirit and come back to myself. It has saved me so many times because I know how to do this. And I practiced it so much over the years.
Why do we have so much anger? We've got about 3 minutes to the break. Why do we have so much anger and divide and conquer right now in this country, where I know that people are more sensitive these days, but at the same time, we are really triggered. I mean, really triggered. Everything is divide and conquer right now, and it's never been like this.
Oh, well, I don't know if it's never. You think so? There's never been like this in history?
Not quite this strong. And what I mean by that is it could be the most sensitive thing. For instance, I could say, I love chocolate pudding. I could say that, and I could just get this audience just all fired up right there.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of passion in your audience. And I think there's a lot of anger permeating everywhere. And in LA, if I make one wrong move in traffic or I go too slow, I get, people swearing at me and horribly angry. I mean, so beyond the circumstance, but it's out there, and it comes out in road rage. It's everywhere in our world today. Is just enormous anger, enormous division, enormous darkness. And that's why everything we've been talking about tonight, the simple power of coming back to the heart and centering yourself in the light and being that light to overcome all this anger and divisiveness and not ever falter in your belief of what's true. When you truly believe in the power of what I'm talking about, and when empaths can truly tune into this in their energy field to center themselves, then they have a way of navigating this time. If not, empaths are demolished by the news, demolished by what's happening politically and climate-wise. Is there such a thing as an earth empath who feel the changes in the earth? And when the earth is destroyed, and when things are done not to protect the sacredness of the earth, we feel it in our bodies, and it feels like a personal assault on our systems.
Let's take a break right here. And the other, when we come back, I have to ask the obvious question, which is this. What does an empath do with social media these days? There's some triggers right there. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Dr. Judith Orloff. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Your phone calls are next.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Dr. Judith Orloff. We're talking about her new best-selling book, The Empath Survival Guide, Life Strategies for Sensitive People. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Pharma, GNU Pharma. Just click on the banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code F2B, and you will get 33% off of your order. Go to New Pharma today and read about all of the science behind their products. And now I'm going to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. I'm only going to use that phone bank tonight, so please use that phone line. And now, Dr. Judith, what I want, right before the break, I brought up the internet, right? Social media and Twitter and Facebook, and how does that affect an empath?
Really intensely, and so they have to limit it. Because there's information overload on the internet. And plus, if you join a group, there could be all kinds of emotional overload from being involved. And so you have to really limit it. There's just too much coming in too fast. And I notice when I'm on the internet too long, I kind of feel like a zombie, or, I just don't feel that good. And so I need to close down my computer and go walk by the beach for a while. It's too much. It's the electromagnetic radiation coming off of the screen, plus it's just the information that's very overwhelming for empaths.
And the trigger words right? Same thing as vision or smell or taste or anything like that. Trigger words would be having the same effect, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, especially if you look on Google or follow the news, it's a mixed bag for empaths because they feel so much and they want to be able to help, and they want to be able to feel for people who are suffering. But what empaths do is they take on that suffering. So they could get tremendously ill by taking on so much suffering in the world. And so it's important, to really balance yourself as an empath. You could enjoy social media. Social media is fantastic. I really like it. And, I enjoy so much of it, but I limit it. And it can be addictive like anything else.
Well, sure it can. And then we have the other social phenomenon with social media, which is trolls, which are there to just absolutely tear at your emotions.
Right. I know. I've experienced that a little bit. And it happened in my empath group where, I got rid of it right away because I monitor it pretty closely, but it's so invasive. It's really horrible and invasive. And, and empaths are sensitive to invasion of their personal space. And so the whole troll phenomena is, beyond disgusting and invasive.
And I can only imagine with trolls do it for sport, right? It's sport. And they will tell you, hey, man, if you're getting affected by me, that's what I do. Now I'm never going to leave, right? So there's that part of it. And then the empath being so sensitive and the troll doing just that, trying to get to the sensitive part of anybody. It's their job. That's a bad mix right there.
It's a terrible mix, but it's a great thing to be able to block somebody. So,
oh, isn't it though?
That's very healthy.
One of the I talk about that so much. One of the most freeing feelings I have is blocking. Oh man. Oh, it is just
it's a form of self-care. If anybody is trying to intrude on your space or laying a number on you or not being respectful to you, block them.
Yeah, block them. Block them. And it is so freeing. And the other part is this, and as a psychiatrist, I just have to ask you this directly. When somebody gets blocked in social media, we have all the social media etiquette today, right? These psychological games that are going down. And the person that is blocked says, hey, what about my freedom of speech? You are invading in that. We aren't, are we? Our world is our world that you are coming into. And if you're making me or somebody else, uncomfortable with your negativity, then it's our choice, not yours. You don't have those rights.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, even in my own home as an empath, I have a no yelling rule. Because I'm very sensitive to people yelling and screaming. I just can't stand it. It makes me ill. And so I, encourage empaths to set those kind of rules for yourself. If you don't like all that and it hurts you, you have to tell your mate that. Or you have to say, if you're yelling, I have to leave the room. Or I'm not going to drive in a car with you, because empaths, are trapped in cars. If somebody starts raging in a car or starts dumping on you in a car, I've had empaths get out of the car and just take an Uber, which I support wholeheartedly. To not have toxic energy dumped all over you. It's never a good thing. Never. People have to treat you respectfully.
Are empaths, is there a correlation between emotional intelligence and, high scores of intelligence test? Does that indicate an empath, somebody with crazy intelligence?
Yeah, it could. It doesn't always have to, but in terms of emotional intelligence, yes. Because if they have emotional intelligence, that's a sophisticated kind of intelligence, where that means they know how to deal with their emotions, in a really wonderful, balanced way. And empaths with tools have very high emotional intelligence, because they know how to deal with emotions, and they know how to deal with, if you're triggered, you don't always have to react. You see, that's just a basic law of communication that you have to learn, because most people, when they're triggered, they react. And there's a weakness in them because they don't have the strength to say, all right, I'm triggered, but I'm not reacting to this person or giving them energy. Because the thing is with energy vampires, the more you react, the more energy you give them. And you don't want to do that.
You've mentioned, and this has come up a few times now in Twitter. So let's back up for a second. You've mentioned energy vampire. What is an energy vampire?
An energy vampire is somebody who has the capacity to suck your energy dry. So just by virtue of their energy field, or maybe something they say, something they do, they could drain you. And there are all kinds of energy vampires. They're the run-of-the-mill energy vampires. The chronic talker is an energy vampire for an empath. You know, if you're cornered at a party and somebody just starts telling you their life story, and empaths will sit there for hours listening, and then they end up feeling sick and tired by the end of the night. And so empaths need to learn how to interrupt in order to get out of these situations. No, you have to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to leave. And, you know, thank you for sharing this, but I've got to talk to this other person. As empaths can't be a victim to energy vampires. That's only one skill for that type. And most energy vampires don't do it on purpose. Most of them don't. And, you know, I've done a show with George on this, you know, a while back. And he was saying, well, what about, you know, those who are malicious and they just go out to hurt you?
Right.
And I think there are those types, but they're not everyday vampires. There are those that just want to hurt and cause damage. You know, those are truly destructive, you know, consciously cause damage. And so my advice for these people is to stay away from them if you can, and set fierce limits with them. And if they keep harassing you or whatever, to just shut them off in as many ways as possible. See, what happens is people have insecurities that are triggered by them. For instance, if you have a controller, somebody who wants to control you, or a narcissist, let's say, who wants to control you through their narcissism, or through their, you know, using the silent treatment on you, or through their gaslighting techniques. You know, instead of going along with it, you can say, all right, you know, they're trying to control me in this way and I'm not going to allow it. You see, so you got to have enough smarts to identify it, first of all. So you can go to the energy vampire chapter and identify different types, you know, that are in the book, and then take action. It's not rocket science, but it does get into the deep emotional underpinnings of how we're made. And if you have parents who were not so kind to you, if you have an energy vampire who's not so kind, you can find what's called a wound mate, where you both inflict wounds on one another, which isn't a healthy relationship.
But doesn't everybody feel gaslighted these days?
I think so. If they're smart.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it like that, that's like the whole planet.
Well, I think there's a lot of it going on. As the gaslighting, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's where another person tries to make you feel crazy because of your take on reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's the whole planet, you know, and you're either in or you're out. That's
right. Exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, there's not a gray area there, is what I'm saying. It's the whole planet. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, but I think, you know, many people are smart enough to realize that and aware enough to realize that. Some aren't, and that's the problem. And if you have old wounds from childhood, especially if you're an empath, you're so sensitive, a narcissist or someone who is gaslighting can feed on that insecurity. If you're not sure of yourself and somebody says, you really didn't feel that, that really didn't happen to you, you know, you're crazy, you're going to believe it. And well, that's where the damage happens.
It is. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about fake news. Right now, I don't go political, so I'm going to try to keep the political side out of this. But when society at large has been told that everything they have been fed is all fake news, that's gaslighting on a grand scale.
Oh, yeah. But that's where intuition comes in, because you could intuitively tune into any piece of information, whether it's news or whether it's something that's going on in your personal life. And you have to get used to tuning in and feeling what resonates as truth and what doesn't. And so you have to run everything by your intuition. Everyone can say, no, this is true, no, that's true. But if you run it by your innermost self, you can feel the truth of most things.
Yeah, and I say to everybody, and I know this may sound, well, it may not sound strange to you, but I tell everybody to use the big D, discernment. That's like the big word today for me.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Yeah, it's discernment, and it goes through social media. Now today, when you are clicking on or retweeting or a video, you know, whatever, if you're spreading, you may be spreading negativity. You may even be spreading a lie, you know, fake news, and that is causing emotional distress on a big scale, and you don't understand your influence when you click like or retweet or share. You need to use discernment, because you don't know who you are affecting in a very strange way. People don't interpret it the same way that you did.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And you have to look at every retweet or every, comment on Facebook as energy transfer. You know, it's energy being transferred through that communication. That's why empaths get so overwhelmed by social media, because they take everything seriously. Empaths tend to, take a lot seriously, so they need to lighten up a bit. You see, but everything they hear, oh my God, it relates to me. And, that's one thing that empaths have to work with, is not to over-identify with every cause of suffering that's happening in the world. Because they could do that, they could do that. And, I just want to say that a lot of creative people are empaths. A lot of people in the media, a lot of actors and actresses are empaths. Alanis Morissette, I think Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
And a bunch of them have come out. So, they're in the media in the sense that they're creative people and, creating and transmitting energy.
I think that they're starting to recognize that a bit more and go public about it. Jim Carrey certainly has. And I think more and more are doing just that, which allows the rest of us that are questioning or wondering what is actually going on with us, that, hey, wait a minute. Right? And if he is speaking about this in such a direct way, then maybe I'm actually okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point of the Empath Survival Guide, is that maybe you're actually okay. Not even okay, but better than okay. Maybe you have a gift, and maybe you need to nurture it, and you need to look at what your life experience has been so far and reframe it. And that's what I hope I have communicated tonight. To the empaths out there, I mean, maybe some of you already know you're empaths, but to those of you who have been listening and light bulbs are going off and going, oh my God, this is me, then, you can make that turn in your life and begin to reframe it. And like Sabrina said, reschool yourself, re-educate yourself, and let go of old patterns and see yourself anew.
Just as you said, Sabrina, this popped up from Sabrina just right then. She says, Judith, what is the darkest thing that you've had to heal from?
Oh, boy. There have been a lot of things, but I think my fear of abandonment, that was very, very rough on my relationships for a long, long time, and still pops up. I flip between fear of suffocation and fear of abandonment as an empath, in an intimate relationship. And I've always wanted to have a soulmate, an intimate relationship, but I've always, nothing has really worked out for me until the last number of years, because I had this flipping of suffocation and abandonment. And so I really had to work with that in myself, so that it doesn't overcome me, at times. So I know that's a huge fear in many people's lives, if they can be honest with themselves.
I want to, one last thing that I want to touch upon. When we are talking about energy vampires or narcissists, I think that a lot of this references people that are in your life momentarily, not all day long. But what if it is somebody that you work with? What if it's your boss? What if it's somebody that's sitting next to you for 8 or 10 hours a day?
Right. Yeah. There's that, if that's your question. But it's about learning how to set clear limits and boundaries, learning, like if you have a drama queen sitting next to you, not to keep asking him or her how they're doing, to learn how to have I'm not interested body language, where you turn your body language away. And let's say you have a narcissist boss and you don't want to change your job. You have to frame things in terms of how it will serve your boss. Otherwise, they won't do what you want. You can say, I'm exhausted, I need a vacation, I need these dates. And you probably won't get it, but if you say it's going to benefit the business, if I take a vacation on these dates, you probably will get it. So it's very tedious ego stroking. But if you want your needs met and for whatever reasons you can't leave that job, then that's how you have to go with that.
It almost sounds like the brink of insanity for some.
It can lead to that.
Yeah, totally. And so for you, we talked about bliss, but you are an empath and you're on your life's journey. Where are you on that path? Are you there?
Oh, no, of course not. I mean, human beings don't, unless they become enlightened, they're not in that bliss state all the time. But I'm much more appreciative of every moment. I'm very fascinated with time and time passing. And as the years pass and as time pass, I realize ever more how precious the moment is. And so I try and keep myself, in that moment and in every moment, and valuing friendships and love above all else.
And
valuing. Go on.
I'm sorry. I think you cut out there for a second. That's why I jumped in. And then you came back,
okay.
And we sounded like we clashed, but it wasn't intentional. So.
Okay. I was just saying to value friendships and love. And I also value my mission, in terms of being a psychiatrist and as an empath and, the changes that I can bring about, during my lifetime. Given the balance that I have and my interests and my scope of knowledge. So I feel so good about that. Just feeling, I'm definitely on the right path.
I just got an email, and this is, I can't believe we didn't bring this up earlier. Marijuana, right? Okay. It's virtually legal across the United States. It's getting really, really close. And you and I come from the same generation. We probably thought that these days would never arrive, but they certainly have. But combined with that, we have CBDs, right? And its healing effects on the immune system that affect a variety of things. And certainly people are turning to medicinal marijuana and CBDs more and more today. How is this for the empath?
Well, I think each empath has to feel how it is in his or her body. It's about testing everything, every medication, every medicinal, everything. You have to see how it feels, because how it feels in my body might not be the same as how it feels in your body. So it might be incredibly therapeutic for you. But I remember, I never liked smoking marijuana because it made me paranoid and quiet.
Right. That's what it does to me. So just so you understand.
But some people feel their anxiety lifted. So it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, it's weird for me. When I was younger, I had no issues with it. None. Now at my age, and I'm in my 50s now, it is a total paranoia thing, psychosis thing that happens. It's crazy. I mean, I almost can't. It's like nervous breakdown stuff. Plus, the other thing is the pot today is not the pot that you and I smoked in 1975. There are mad scientists out there creating this stuff today. Conscious Life Expo is coming up. Today, I can't believe it. Today is the 23rd. It's February 9th through the 12th. What are you going to be speaking about?
I'm going to be speaking about empaths and empathy and intuition and other realities if we take it there. And I'll be speaking the last day of the expo on Sunday at 4. So everyone is invited to become part of this conversation that you and I are having. And hopefully I'll be able to meet you there, which will be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I enjoy most about the Conscious Life Expo, which is a singular event for this kind of feeling, but you go through those front doors and there's nothing but joy and wonder, right? Your attitude is checked at the door and you can feel the electricity when you walk in there. Now, I don't know what that's like for an empath, but for me, Mr. Gregarious guy, it is the warmest, funnest thing ever for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, everyone who wants to continue this conversation, please come to my talk and also explore, other speakers at the expo. My friend Daniel Brinkley is going to be there, and he's had so many fascinating experiences. So just explore, have fun. If you're an empath and you need to take a break because there's so many people, go off on your own. Meditate, ground yourself, and then choose the talks that most resonate for you. And don't do too much if you don't want to, or do everything if you want to, but just listen to your intuition. And there's a lot of fun things to choose from and a lot of mind openers and mind opening speakers. And my friend Carolyn Mace is giving the keynote. She is fantastic. I adore her. She is one of the most generous people in the world.
As an empath, when you see Daniel Brinkley walking down the hall, you see him glow, don't you?
You do. I love him.
He's incredible. There's nothing like that Daniel Brinkley hug.
Oh, the hug is amazing. And it's the hug that an empath would love because it's just all heart. It's just all heart.
Well, I look forward to hanging out with you in 2 short weeks. An amazing conversation tonight, and thank you so much. And we'll continue all of this at the Conscious Life Expo. Thank you, Dr. Judith.
You're welcome.
Great conversation. Now, her links, by the way, are over at jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow Dr. Judith Orloff. It's Judith Orloff, MD, on Twitter. Very simple. And I'm going to take a break right here. Thank you, Dr. Orloff. Amazing conversation. I'll be right back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with me.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of. Ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black.
The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to jimmychurchradio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Dr. Judith Orloff. Amazing conversation. You can follow her, Judith Orloff, MD, on Twitter. And her websites are, of course, over at jimmychurchradio.com, and her Facebook group is there, too, as well. You can just click on those links. Fascinating conversation. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Numana. Emergency food storage for you and your family, 25-year shelf life, MSG and GMO-free. And right now, just for the Fadernauts, they have a special going. You get 10% off. You get free shipping. You're going to get an autographed Fade to Black T-shirt, all with the promo code Jimmy10. That's Jimmy and the number 10, no spaces, Jimmy10, right now. And it's good through the end of the month. Every order over $100. Check that out. Right? That's 10% off. Free shipping and a T-shirt. There you go. Numana, emergency food storage for you and your family. Dr. Judith Orloff, what a conversation. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Deb from Sacramento.
Hi, Deb from Sacramento. How are you?
Hi, good, Jimmy. Hey, I want to go back to, she was talking about dreams, and I remember your dream that you talked about on January 10th. I wrote it down because I found all kinds of symbolism in your dream about Travis Walton being a cop.
Oh, I remember that. You remember that. Okay. All right. Yeah, that really happened. That was a real dream.
I know. And it was very vivid the way you described it, and I really internalized. I went back and I listened to it, and I found all kinds of symbolism. What I want to do is just kind of go in a quick cycle and then get your feedback on what you think of this symbolism, because it's funny, I can see symbolism in other people's dreams, but I can't identify it in my own, and that's really weird.
Well, for the audience, maybe we should do a quick overview. The dream was this. Rita and I were stuck in traffic. I was driving, and we got redirected, or there was a traffic cop in front of us that was directing traffic, and I looked up, and it was Travis Walton. Travis Walton in uniform. He's a traffic cop. And some other things went down, but the bottom line is he told us to turn our car around, and I told Rita I wanted to talk to Travis. She wouldn't let me talk to Travis. We turned the car around. We got directed into this field to park our cars. I got angry and ended up doing donuts in the mud. And wanted to go back and talk to Travis, and I was trying to attract attention, I think. So we go back and we get stuck in traffic. There's Travis in front of us. His boss comes up, and he had like stripes. He was obviously like a lieutenant or something. He comes up, and Travis is telling him how to get people marching. It was weird. I don't know if it was other cops or people crossing the street, but anyway, Travis stopped him and told him how to do this. And then I turned to Rita, and I told Rita, as Travis is walking up to us, I tell Rita that I have a warrant out for my arrest. And Rita says, well, you wanted to talk to Travis. You're going to talk to him now. And I was like, no, I don't want to talk to Travis. I've got a warrant out. And Travis comes up and sticks his head in the car, says, how are you doing? And I said to I'm freaking out because I have a warrant out for my arrest. And then Travis says, after I get off in a few minutes, come and buy a car from me. I'm selling used cars over here. We turn and look, and there's a used car lot off to our left, and Travis tells us to meet him over there to go buy a car. And then I woke up. So that was the dream. Right. There's more details to it than that, but that's it in a nutshell. So, Deb, you've analyzed this. What did you find out?
Well, the symbolism I see is, first of all, of course, going to a UFO conference is kind of natural. That's your interest. But the thing about Travis is the reason he represents, in my opinion, a cop is because I find his story, and again, I'll get your feedback on all this one, but I find his story and his encounter very believable. And just like you would believe a police officer who's, a good observer, and you would find credibility in them, that's why I think he was a cop in the dream. Now, the reason I think that he was, in the end, that he was a car salesman is because of the way the public's treated him, and they think he's shady and he's a fraud, and he's been treated that way a lot by the public, and so that's where the car salesman symbolism came in. It's like a mixed thing, and that would probably go with, whatever your gut feelings about him are. As far as going to the back lot and doing donuts, that's totally just your rebellious thing because, you wanted to go talk to Travis, so the spinning donuts in the parking lot were your stubbornness and your rebellion. And then the warrant is what's keeping you away from Travis, but at the same time, you want to go talk to him. And Rita is your authority figure big time. She's the one who has the say and tells you, hey, this is going down, this is how it's going to be, basically. So my question would be, what are your gut feelings about Travis and his story, and what do you think of this?
Yeah, that is very interesting. The used car salesman aspect, I would have never thought of it from that point of view, but I think you're exactly right in that. Yes, that is very interesting. Now, wow, that's an eye-opener. Everybody on the cameras are watching me right now with my reaction to that. That was pretty interesting. My take, this is probably different than most people because most have not had an opportunity to hang out with Travis. I mean, like hang out. And which I have done. I have had breakfast with him. I have had lunch with him. I have hung out where we have talked about anything but UFOs, right? We've talked about his family and what he does, and myself included. And there is an honesty with him when you are sitting, talking, and looking into his eyes. There is a trust, there is an honesty there that you're not going to get from a book. You're not going to get it from an interview. I've tried to do that with him. I've interviewed him many times over the years. And I've tried to pull that out of him, but you're not going to get it from those interviews. You get it from sitting down. So when you ask me, what is my take? My take is Travis is a real guy. He's an honest, cool, real person. He's not fictitious at all. There's nothing fake about Travis. I think also that there's a tragic part of him too as well, where I know that he's been talking about blood-sucking vampires. I know that he's had people around him that have tried to take advantage of him over the years. He trusts very few. I'm telling you, he's used those words with me. And I know that it's only because he has been, people have tried to take advantage of him. Maybe he's let it happen a few times and he's learned from that. But today, he's got the wall up. But if you can get around the wall, right? You know what I mean? You can get around the wall and get to Travis's heart, and you get to him as a person. He is as open and as cool as anybody that you can imagine. And I'm telling you, he is funny. Funny guy. Funny, just a funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor. Over the years, I've thought about the original interview that I did with him so long ago, when I asked him a couple of questions that he had never been asked before, and he told me that. And one of them, I had asked him, what's it like walking down the street there in Snowflake, where all of this went down. He still lives there, right? Everybody in that town knows who he is. And I said, what is that like, walking around knowing that people know this very personal part of you? What is that like? And I'm not so sure. Maybe that question should have been asked, but I'm not so sure if I would ask that question today, knowing Travis like I do. Does that make sense? I think it's going, because I know that there's that tragic part of him too as well. He went through a lot emotionally, and pushing that boundary a little bit. I don't know if I would do it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe it feels a little too invasive.
Because he has
because
been,
of what you know.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. He has been through a lot. And that's the truth. Now, I've never dreamt about him before. That was the only time. And it's weird for people to go, "Hey, man, I dreamt about you," or "I dreamt about that." So it's a pretty weird thing for me to say that I dreamt about Travis. But that's and it was good though. The part about Travis, him hanging out with us, and the way that we were talking in the dream was because we were friends, and that was the interaction between us. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty honest, how do I say, interpretation about what went down. Right? Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting dream. It stuck with me, and that was kind of just what I wanted to throw out there.
Well, Rita and I, for me, that morning when I told her about the dream, it even took her by surprise, because my dreams are whacked. Okay, I have crazy dreams, very cinematic dreams. My dreams usually involve not necessarily other planets, but certainly other times, and very fun, crazy science fiction like dreams. And I push for those dreams because I enjoy those. This dream
Have you ever gone back in time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
I do.
And that was before Back to the Future came out. So.
Yeah, I do. I have like 2 periods that I go to. I definitely go to this age between like ages 5 and 15, that 10-year spans. I go there all the time. And I live those worlds vividly. Mm-hmm. Summer, hanging out with the friends, going out, doing the things that we did. I relive those moments, and I push it. I push to go and relive those. Or I go way back. I'm in Egypt all the time. All the time. All the time. All the time. And I don't know if it's because I read about it so much and study it so much, and and stuff, but I am right there, and so is Rita. Rita's talked about this enough publicly. She dreams about Egypt a lot, and we talk about our dreams together afterwards.
Well, next year when you guys go, there'll be a lot to talk about when you get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Deb, thank you so much for that and allowing me to talk about it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a good night, Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. Great conversation right there. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Oh, my God. Jimmy, it's Fran.
Hey, Fran. What are you doing, troublemaker?
Causing trouble.
Yeah, well, I would expect nothing less.
Well, no, you guys were talking about dreams, and I had a dream, and you were in it.
Was it good?
Well, it was weird. It was last night, and I woke up going, what the hell is that supposed to mean? We were at CITD.
Right.
And we started conversing, and all of a sudden you came up really close to my ear and started whispering. And I couldn't understand a word you were saying.
Oh, Fran, you're killing it for everybody.
I'm old and deaf, okay?
Okay.
So I kept going, what? What? And you'd repeat it, and I was like, what? What? And you'd repeat it again. And I went, sorry, dude, I'm not grokking what you're saying.
Well, the good news
and I woke up.
Yeah, the good news is, Fran, that I'll make sure that you live that dream. I'll whisper in your ear, and you're not going to understand a word of it. Rita, will you let me whisper in Fran's ear? That's the question right there. Okay.
Okay. That has to be my right ear. Not my left one, my right ear.
Not your left ear, but your right ear. But I've always sat on your left side, so now I've got to sit on your right side.
Yeah, that's why I never hear anything you're talking about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now that I think about it, I've only sat on your left side, and that's why you never pay attention to me.
Yeah, well, that might not be the only reason. Just teasing.
All right, so when am I going to see you next?
Well, I don't think I'm going to make it out to CITD this year.
Oh, you say that every year. Okay, so we'll see you at CITD.
No. For real.
Fran,
when I saw the new prices, I went, oh, my God, they priced me out. I can't go.
Oh, I have no idea. You're the first person that's mentioned that. Well, we'll talk about that off of the air. How's that?
That sounds like an idea.
Okay. All right. Your best friend is Rita, and she's got a juice card. I don't have a juice card. They don't care about me, but Rita's got the pull.
Yeah, nobody does.
Yeah, Rita's got the juice card.
We all love you.
All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, anything else to report? So what?
What?
But that's all the dream was I was just whispering and you didn't understand? What's the significance behind that? What do you think is going on?
I have no idea, but what I'm assuming is that there's something you're supposed to be telling me or telling us that I'm not getting. I'm not understanding it, but it's like I hear the sounds, but it's not words.
But Fran, you interpret everything. You understand everything.
I know. I try.
And
I'm not really sure what this is. It freaks me out because I've thought about it.
Right.
And I'm not getting it yet. So maybe in a day or two, it might all of a sudden drop.
Okay. Well, everybody's going to start analyzing this in Twitter.
Yeah.
They're
going to be going, oh, Fran has this funny thing for Jimmy. I'm like, no, not even. You're my guy. You're my radio guy.
Well, see, this is when, as I think about this, when we are sitting around a table together, which we've done too many times to count, right? And we're sitting around a table together. When you speak, everybody shuts up and listens. And so what's interesting here, because everybody wants Fran's take, right? No matter what the subject is. And now you're telling me that you don't have a take. And everybody at the table would be tripping out because you wouldn't have the answer. That's fascinating to me, Fran. That's pretty fascinating.
Well, and like you said, you're usually on my left side.
Huh.
So to be whispering in my right ear is weird.
Okay.
That's why I don't have a take on it.
All right, friend. Well,
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, we'll live this in real time at the next contact in the desert. I promise. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Jimmy.
And Fran, you too. Fran, have a great night, Fran. Thank you so much. That's interesting. And for the audience, just let me explain something. When we have our fade to black, fade or not get-togethers, they number anywhere from a few dozen up to 100 or so people, and we have there's always a central gathering point where we will have these fantastic conversations going on at this table. Most of the time, I don't know why, but Fran always ends up on my left. And these conversations are very animated and very strong, and we get loud and we have our opinions. But when Fran speaks, everybody stops and listens to Fran. So there's something going on here, and I've got to figure it out. I want the analysis. I can't remember words and lyrics in my dreams. That can be frustrating. I remember all of my dreams. I remember them all. I have Jimmy. Did Jimmy say Fran doesn't have a tape? I don't know what that means. I have the ability, and I have talked about this so many times, not only privately with friends and so forth, but on this show, which is this. If I get up in the middle of the night, or if my dream is interrupted for whatever reason, I have the ability to close my eyes and pick up exactly where the dream left off. And I can go right there, just like putting in a DVD and going to a chapter and hitting play. I can pick up right there. And I've always been able to do that. And the other thing, and I've talked to Kelly Sullivan about this, and she said some people can do this. If I decide to have a specific dream before I go to sleep, I can do that. I have a library. I have a whole library of different dreams that I have all the time. It's like taking a book off the shelf and putting that, okay, this is the one I'm going to have tonight. If I choose to do that, I can do it. I thought that everybody could do that. Now, Rita lately has been remembering her dreams, and we're talking about that. Over the years, it wasn't like that for Rita and I. I would tell her about my dreams, but for her, but now today she can do it. She absolutely can do it. So I know that it's practice. If you choose to remember your dreams and you want to remember your dreams, you can do that. If you want to set the tone for a dream and have a specific dream that night, I think that you can do it because Rita can do it now, and we do it together. So, but I thought that everybody could do that. I was really shocked and surprised to hear from so many different people that they don't remember their dreams. I don't know. The dream that everybody has about flying, right? You're 5 years old. Everybody seems to have this dream that you're flying at the age of 5. I did. I had the same dreams. And the dream, and I can have it tonight. I can literally go and have this dream tonight. The dream that I had flying was in our backyard, that we had a playground at Fort Sheridan in Chicago, and I would run and jump, fly, go up above the playground, and watch my friends and brothers and sisters and everybody down in the sandbox way below. Not close. This is way down. But I would watch them play. Right? I had this dream thousands of times in my life. Thousands. And I can go and do that today. I can go and just pull that one off the shelf and do it. I thought that everybody did that. It's can you and Rita share the same dream? I would say that we have been very close. Yeah, I would say that we've been very, very close. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that Rita and I more and more, and I think everybody should do this, Rita and I more and more talk about and discuss our dreams. And getting them synced up to have the exact same dream, I think that would be the best experience ever. And to be in each other's dreams at the same time. Right? Yeah. Jimmy, please share with us your dreams about Egypt and the Great Pyramid. One day, I would like to get Rita on the show. She won't do this, everybody, so don't ask her. They're absolutely not. Maybe someday. It won't be tomorrow, for sure. But she has had some very, 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 very vivid, specific dreams about Egypt that we discuss. And as we do our research, we discuss this in advance, and then later we'll find out that it is factual. So there's something going on there. For me, I keep somebody asked me the other night where I would go in time travel. Oh, it was when I was on Coast. It came up on Twitter and Coast. And my answer was, if I could go anywhere in time, I would go to Egypt, to the construction of the Great Pyramid. The problem with that is we don't know what that time is, right? So I would go there and the pyramids would already be built, right? Or not built. But if I could find out that date, that's exactly where I would go. What I dream about, and I have different dreams about this, but I have dreams about it, the Great Pyramid being constructed, right? And I've seen multiple different views of this. And I'll talk about it more. I don't have time tonight, but I'll talk about it more. We can do this Thursday night on Fader Night. I have no problems with that. But I'm trying to force the issue, I think subconsciously, because I want to know exactly. Jimmy, did you scoop air with your hands or just jump and fly? I just jumped and flew. No, I did not flap my arms. I never flapped my arms. Nope. No, I just flew. Just jump and flew. That's a great question, though, Brian. That's pretty honest. Never really thought about it like that. But, yeah, just jump and fly. That's it. Well, I got to get out of here. Tomorrow night, the one and only William Henry is here talking about the Great Pyramid, the new chamber that was just discovered above the the gallery, and what is inside of it. He just wrote this article, and it is called The Iron Throne of Osiris. So we will be talking about that tomorrow night. And don't forget that this Friday over on Coast to Coast AM, my guest will be Jason Martell. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, William Henry, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.